Please close the eyes. Remembering God and the Masters, we will pray. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May we enjoy food together. May we attain wisdom through our study and discussion. May we pray and meditate together. May there be no conflict among us. May there be more peace and love everywhere. Om. Amen. I bow to one God who is formless, omnipresent. Humbly I bow to all the saints and sages of all times and places. I bow to the lineage of Kriya Yoga masters. And I bow to living power of divine within you all. Good evening and welcome to our series of lectures on 6 spiritual treasures of a sincere seeker. In our previous classes, so far we have discussed 3 treasures or qualities of a seeker: Shama, control over the mind; Dama, control over the senses; and Uparama, otherwise known as Uparati, means to be established in one's own duty. Now, today we are going to discuss the 4th quality of the seeker. This is the 4th treasure one has to earn, and this is called Titiksha. What is Titiksha? So Adi Shankara is explaining in the next verses about this quality, Titiksha. Titiksha ka, because it is feminine, that's why it is ka instead of kaha, which is masculine in Sanskrit. So Titiksha ka, what is Titiksha? Then Adi Shankar is answering, Shitoshna Sukha Dukha Adi Sahishnutvam. Shita Ushna Sukha Dukha Adi. If you remember that instead of telling all the different qualities in long sentence, when he say Adi means etc. So it includes all the pairs of opposites. So what is Titiksha? The endurance of heat and cold, pleasure and pain. Then instead of telling all different pairs of opposites, he say etc. Means it includes all the opposites. So Titiksha is the quality which is known as endurance of heat and cold, pleasure and pain, censure and praise. And if you read again, Adi Shankar in another text, Viveka Chudamani, has explained Titiksha, Sahanam Sarva Dukkhanam Apratikara Purvakam Chinta Vilap Rahitam Sa Titiksha Nigadyate. The endurance of all sufferings without trying to eliminate or to avoid, and not lamenting or blaming anyone for such a state, is known as endurance or Titiksha, forbearance, or you can say tolerance. So Titiksha is the best quality to develop our willpower. And Uparati we attain only after going through this quality of titiksha. Titiksha therefore implies couple of meanings like withdrawal from a temptation to retaliate, a total absence of sense of vengeance, or you can say non-compliance against the conditions prevailing. It is also the absence of any kind of sorrow in the mind on account of external conditions. Generally, there is a perennial complaint against conditions outside. We have to protect or guard ourselves against unfavorable circumstances. This is a need where we feel throughout our life that we need to protect ourselves. We build houses, we keep arms with us, especially in USA. We keep bodyguards to protect, and so on. And we remain in a state of anxiety due to a secret suspicion that things are not all right. They should be better. Sometimes we call the world a dog's tail, which can never be straightened. But all this is not going to perturb the world. It has been what it is, and Herculean efforts of people, stalwarts that trod this earth to change it, do not seem to have had an impression upon it. There might have been psychological satisfactions for people who have tried to amend it, but the constitution of the world has remained the same always. The effort to change circumstances outwardly is no doubt the usual inclination or tendency of human mind. But the spiritual law ordains that energy be not wasted in unnecessary contemplation of factors which are totally extraneous to our spiritual fulfillment. There are many more things for us to do in our spiritual life than the worldly life would demand of us. If all our efforts are to be wasted in creating comfortable circumstances, favorable conditions, avoiding what is unpleasant, and so on, perhaps much of our time or all of our time will go only in these attempts. There will be very little time left for us to construct an inner life of our own. While being busy with the facilities of outer life, we are likely to ignore the good of our inner life. There's a story about Titiksha. Whatever circumstances are there, the advanced seekers, they remain undisturbed. The story goes, a beautiful girl in the village was pregnant. Her angry parents demanded to know who the father was. At first, resistant to confess, the anxious and embarrassed girl finally pointed to Hakun, the Zen master, whom everyone previously revered for living such a pure life. When the outraged parents confronted Hakun with their daughter's accusation, he simply replied, "Is that so?" When the child was born, the parents brought it to the Hakun, who now was viewed as pariah, outcast by the whole village. They demanded that he take care of the child since it was his responsibility. Is that so? Hakun said calmly as he accepted the child. For many months, he took very good care of the child until the daughter could no longer withstand the lie she had told. She confessed that the real father was a young man in the village whom she had tried to protect. The parents immediately went to Hakun to see if he would return the baby. And with profuse apologies, he explained what happened. Is that so? Hakun said as he handed them the child. So you see, whether it was accusation or appreciation, this Zen master, he remained completely calm, without disturb, and he did not react. So this is titiksha. Sahishnutvam, sukha dukha, shita ushna adi. Sahishnutvam, to tolerate the opposites. So there is a word dvandva in Sanskrit. Dvandva means dva means two. It indicates pairs of opposites. We live in duality, and to be free from duality, we should accept reality. For what should we have tolerance or forbearance? For what? To be more strong? Dvandva sahishnutvam. Dvandva means duality or two or pairs of opposites like pleasure and pain, success and failure, heat and cold, praise and censure. Thus, titiksha or forbearance is dvanda sahishnuttam, endurance of pairs of opposites. It is the state of equanimity, in other words. And remember, tolerance does not mean cowardice. There is a beautiful saying, I cried that I did not have shoes till I saw a child who did not have legs. Whatever comes, we have to tolerate. So this is the fourth qualification, titiksha. This is the attitude of forbearance which refuses to be affected or pained when afflicted with sorrow and loss, and the ingratitude and wickedness of others even. In fact, one is happy and calm, for one knows that these are the results of one's own actions now recoiling on him. And one looks upon those who cause the misery as friends and well-wishers. One does not retaliate nor does he wish ill for them. This is titiksha. One bears all the blows patiently and gladly. The natural reactions of a person, whomever he may be. When someone injures him, is to injure in return. When someone causes harm, to do harm. And when someone insults him, to insult back by some means or the other. But this is the characteristics of the pravritti patha. Pravritti, the path of objective involvement in the world. And those who seek the inner path of sublimation and purification, which is nivritti patha, have to avoid such reactions. Returning injury for injury, harm for harm, insult for insult only adds to the karmic burden which has to be endured and eliminated in future lives. And this burden is called agami or lineal, to be exhausted in next lives, many more lives. One cannot escape the task of undergoing the consequences of one's thought, word, and action in due course. Paying evil for evil can never lighten the weight of karma. It will only become heavier. It might confer immediate relief and contentment, but it cannot make the person happy, and a person has to suffer later on. So Titiksha therefore instructs man to do good to person who injures him. Titiksha makes way for Uparati. We discussed the third quality. So since everything is impermanent, we should calmly tolerate it. You might have heard the story of King Solomon from the Holy Bible, that one day King Solomon decided to humble Benaiah, his most trusted minister. He said to him, Benaiah, there is a certain ring that I want you to bring to me. I wish to wear it for Sukkot, which is a major Jewish festival. And he gave him 6 months to find it. If it exists anywhere on earth, Your Majesty, replied Benaiah, I will find it and bring it to you. But what makes the ring so special? The king answered, it has magic powers. If a happy man looks at it, he becomes sad. And if a sad man looks at it, he becomes happy. Solomon knew that no such ring existed in the world, but he wished to give his minister a little taste of humility. Spring passed and then the summer, and still Benaiah had no idea where he could find the ring. On the night before Sukkot, he decided to take a walk in one of the poorest quarters of Jerusalem. He passed by a merchant who had begun to set out the day's wares on the shabby carpet. Have you by any chance heard of a magic ring that makes the happy wearer forget his joy and the broken-hearted wearer forget his sorrows? Asked Benaiah. He watched the grandfather take a plain gold ring from his carpet and engrave something on it. When Benaiah read the words on the ring, his face broke out in a wide smile. That night, the entire city welcomed in the holiday of Sukkot with great festivity. Well, my friend, said Solomon, have you found what I sent you after? All the ministers laughed, and Solomon himself smiled. To everyone's surprise, Benaiah held up a small gold ring and declared, here it is, Your Majesty. As soon as Solomon read the inscription, the smile vanished from his face. The jeweler had written 3 Hebrew letters on the gold ring. This too shall pass. At that moment, Solomon realized that all his wisdom and fabulous wealth and tremendous power were but fleeting things. For one day, he would be nothing but dust. What has the power to make a sad man happy and happy man sad? A gold ring with this too shall pass engraved. So remember this beautiful sentence, this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent. If there is happiness, it will also not remain longer. If you are unhappy, sorrowful, it will also go away. This condition is not going to last forever. The best example of titiksha in our day-to-day life, because we are driving car, we are driving any automobile, best example of titiksha is shock absorber in a vehicle. There is shock absorber. So that is what is titiksha for us. Whatever comes, any type of reaction, any type of situation, just absorb it without reacting. Because what Adi Shankar said, chinta vilapa rahitam. Chinta means without being worried. Vilap means without lamenting or crying for that, why it happened to me. That is titiksha. It's not that oh, I have to bear it, what to do. That is not titiksha. Titiksha, very gladly we accept whatever comes. Another example in India, mostly in villages, we have observed during our childhood that little kids used to play in garden and they used to throw stone at the mango trees. Mango tree sustains rain and sun without reacting. So tree is doing titiksha. In Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, verse number 14, Lord Krishna is explaining Matra sparshastu kaunteya Shitoshna sukha dukkhada Agamapaino nityaha Anstitikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the contact between senses and the sense objects gives rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. These are not permanent. They come and go like winter and summer seasons. So, O descendant of Bharat means Arjuna, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, this here, Lord is telling, Tans titikshasva Bharata, tolerate it, to develop this beautiful quality of seeker, tolerance. We also chant a mantra in our puja. This mantra is from Mahanarayan Upanishad. Om Gandhadvara Duradharsham Nityapushtam Karishinim Ishwarim Sarvabhutanam Tamivopavai Shriyam. It has a very beautiful meaning. This is the mantra when we offer sandalwood to deity, to Lord, or put sandalwood paste on our forehead also. This is the mantra. Mahanarayan Upanishad, first chapter, 47th mantra. Meaning is just like the sandalwood is rubbed on the stone with water, gives nice aromatic smell. Similarly, when I am rubbed with difficulties, good qualities should manifest from me. In general, what happens when we are under difficult circumstances, when somebody is putting us into trouble, instead of good smell means instead of blessings, sometimes bad words, reaction, curse even, it comes out of our mouth, so which should not be there. So Titiksha tells us not to react. In Bhagavad Gita, again, Lord is explaining about these pairs of opposites, Dvandva. It is in 6th chapter, 7th verse. When Lord is telling, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu Tatha Manapamanayoho. Because Adi Shankar is telling, Shita Ushna Sahishnutvam means forbearing cold and heat. So the yogis who have conquered the mind rise above the dualities of cold and heat, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor. So this is all known as equanimity. Otherwise, this is the quality of titiksha. We should not react. We should live a life of action, not reaction. Having two eyes indicates that there is duality. Because we see duality, our mind is attracted to those people or objects that we like. When we like, we get attached. And when we dislike, we create hatred within. When we are with people or objects we like, we feel comfortable. When we are in association with objects or people that we dislike, we feel uncomfortable and we want to get rid of this relationship. But since this world is the world of duality, we cannot completely get rid of every person or object that disrupts our comfort zone. We are always in the clutch of duality of nature. We have likes and dislikes, which is known as raga dvesha. If we want to be free from play of duality, we need to accept reality without any reaction. Again, about the duality, there is a proverb in Sanskrit which says, Chakravat parivartante sukhani cha dukkhani cha. Chakravat means in turn. Just like the movement of a wheel, which is known as chakra, pleasure and pain, success and failure, summer and winter, praise and blame, sleep and wakeful state are constantly moving non-stop. So also everything is changing in turn like a cyclic process. As long as we live in this world, we have to face and encounter the pairs of opposites. We cannot avoid it. There will be success, there will be failure, there will be loss, there will be gain. Somebody will praise you, somebody will blame you. Even Lord Krishna, Lord Jesus, they were also blamed. There will be likes, there will be dislikes. Some people like you, some people dislike you. There is comfort, there is also discomfort. There is hot summer, there is freezing winter. There is no rain, there is a strong rain. When we are on a spiritual path, we should not be worried about all these things that are impermanent. Chakravat parivartante. They are constantly changing like wheel of time. Often people blame God. Why did this happen to me, oh God? Why did you give this problem to me? We might blame God, we might blame others, or we might lament. However, a spiritual seeker should be ready to accept and face any situation. Never expect that everything will be pleasant. Just like below the beautiful rose, there are thorns. When you hear sweet words from the teacher, you must be ready for the next moment in which there might be a scolding for mistakes that were committed. When we are not influenced by this world of duality, we can pass through life more easily. Whether it is summer or winter, it will not affect us because it is a passing phase. Just like pleasure and pain are a passing phase, and success and failure are a passing phase. We must endure and tolerate differences by understanding that this life is temporary and its external encounters are temporary. Only God is permanent. And this is why Acharya Shankar is saying to tolerate our present circumstance. Happiness and unhappiness are states of mind, we discussed before. In deep sleep, you are beyond these experiences because the conscious mind is dormant. Similarly, in meditation, when you are in the fontanel, you are neither karta, means doer, nor bhokta, enjoyer, but you are in your real form of bliss, ananda. If we want to grow spiritually, we should forbear or endure. A spiritual seeker is a student and he is never reactive. If we are overreacting to things, we still lack the qualifications required to be a good student. And it happens sometimes reaction is not natural, but overreaction, jumping into conclusion without contemplation or without knowing the truth, we put ourselves into trouble. When something happens, immediately we react. Then we remember and again try to remain calm. So, forbearance or tolerance is the state of inner balance, which the student is not reactive towards what is happening in the external world and not affected by pleasures and pains, success and failure, loss and gain, or the seasons of winter and summer. Thus, for the spiritual seeker, it is all the same. Sri Gurudev would test people to see their quality. He would become very strict and would say something that might not be pleasant. Sometimes, when we hear something that is not pleasant, what happens to our face? Is our face as cheerful as before when Sri Gurudev was so nice, or does it become red with unhappy look? One could see the result of this taste or his taste by how the person walked away from him. Sri Gurudev would tell us that to look at, he used to tell, look at that person, how he is walking and see the quality. Sri Gurudev's love is unconditional, but often he tested and reminded us to look and see how unripe we are. He wanted us to see how reactive we are to any given set of conditions, expected or unexpected. So he would create a situation that would expose our nature, because outwardly we might pose that we are so nice, humble, obedient, and serving. Remember, only the spiritual teachers will tell the bitter truth that might not be palatable for us, because those who love us will praise and flatter. They will say how nice and sweet and beautiful we are. But a spiritual teacher will not tell us this if we are unripe. The spiritual teacher will tell the truth directly or indirectly. If we like it or not, it does not matter, because truth is truth. Therefore, we have to take the bitter with the sweet and resolve that we will go forward. Realize that our primary goal in life is different from that of most people. It is comparatively easy to tolerate the slander bravely because we don't like it, means we do not welcome slander. Censure is such a feeling that nobody expects, whether we protest the slander or tolerate it. It is proven that we want praise and flattery from the core of our heart. We want people should appreciate us. It is more difficult to face the flood of praise because we adore them. Sincere practice of spiritual discipline makes it easy to face the flood of slander. Slander seems the poisonous to us because we desire for praise and appreciation. There are two ways to avoid this situation: developing ego, because when somebody appreciates, we feel egotistic, we feel pride. So, if you want to avoid that spiritual ego born out of praise, there are two ways. Number one, always keep in mind that the person praising you is certainly having some selfish motive, otherwise, he will not praise you, and such a selfish person can easily ditch you anytime. So be careful. The second rule: slander and criticism result good in due course of time. They not only impart mental peace but also give us opportunity to introspect and be free from our mistakes, our own weaknesses. Gurudev used to say, chastisement produces good results. Ma Sharada Mani said in Bengali, Je sahibe se rahibe. One who tolerates will sustain, other will perish. So reverse this old measurement of praise and slander. Ask for the tax from the person who praises you without genuine reason and pay tax to the person who condemns you for taking so much pain. Therefore, one who praises you is indebted to you, and you are grateful to those who criticize you, blame you. I remember beautiful teaching of great monk Swami Ram Sukh Das Ji Maharaj. Those who have read the books from Gita Pres Gorakhpur, they are familiar with his name. A great master, I think he left his body at the age of 104 approximately. And till the end of his life, he was teaching continuously, even in the old age. He said, let people condemn you. Let people condemn you. He said, give all people leave on their behalf. सबको छुट्टी दे दो. Whether they condemn or praise, in whichever way they agree. If you give everyone a break, you will get freedom. A man may be trapped in praise, but sins are destroyed in condemnation. If somebody is blaming you, so that person is taking away your mistakes. So we should be thankful to the person. If someone condemns based on a lie, then be silent and do not justify. I learned it from Guruji also. Don't justify, just be silent. If someone asks, then tell the truth. But without asking, don't say anything. No need to say without asking by others. Giving justification without asking is disrespect to truth. It is of no value if the other man considers us bad. God does not take the testimony of another. If the other person says good, then you will become good. It will never happen. If you are bad, then you will remain bad. If you are good, then you will remain good, even if the whole world says bad about you. If people condemn, then there should be joy in the mind. That's why a saint has said, if anyone is satisfied with my condemnation, then I am blessed by them without any effort. Because man seeking welfare also abandon their hard-earned money for the satisfaction of others, and I did not have to do anything for that. We do not sin, we do not grieve anyone, yet we are condemned. Then there should be no sorrow. Rather, there should be joy. Whatever happens, accept it. Everything is auspicious. Therefore, if there is anything unpleasant to mind, we should be joyful. So titiksha is like shock absorber in our life. We all have motor vehicle or any automobile. In that, there is always a shock absorber that whenever there is up and down or any hole, pothole comes, so that shock absorber, it absorbs the shock and it does not let us get affected. So in our life, titiksha, practice of titiksha is like putting a shock absorber. That whatever people say, whatever happens externally, I will not be affected. So I have to become so strong. Only then I can go beyond the play of sense organs. I can be in Uparati or Uparama. So always remember that this world is world of duality. It is impermanent. So if there is success, don't be excited. If there's failure, don't be unhappy. Just remain calm, tolerate it, forbear. When you endure everything outside, then you'll see things are changing constantly. Nothing is permanent. So titiksha is the fourth treasure or quality of a spiritual seeker. If we do not practice it, what will happen? We will react to every single thing in the external world. We will not accept it. That means we are away from reality. So, as a spiritual seeker, we need to practice it in any circumstances, in any condition. Let me maintain my calmness. I will absorb whatever comes. I will just forbear it. I will tolerate it. It's not so easy because mind reacts. But that is what is the training to mind. Just watch. Just wait and watch. So this is the formula sutra. Just wait and watch. Don't react immediately. And you'll see you'll be saved from many unpleasant circumstances or many things which are going to happen to you as a reaction. You can avoid them very easily. So try titiksha. Don't complain. What happens normally if there is too cold, we start complaining, oh, it is too cold, I cannot stay here. Sometimes I'm surprised that even living in ashram life, people still have that feeling of, oh, it is too cold, I cannot go to that place. It is too hot, I cannot sustain. We have to go beyond that, titiksha. Why can't we just tolerate it? That's why Adi Shankar has told that all all pairs of opposites we have to tolerate. It's not just the season, whether it is cold or heat. He just gave the example, whether it is success or failure, whether it is praise or appreciation or criticism, both we have to accept as it is without reaction. Chinta vilaparahitam, remember these two important words. Not that, oh, what to do, I have to just go through it. No, that's not tolerance or titiksha. Titiksha is that gladly we accept without lamenting why it happened, or without even complaining, without reacting. Just let it happen. Whatever happens, happens. It is for good. And remember that anything is happening, it is not permanent. It will change. Just it's a matter of time. So titiksha helps us to go to the state of uparati, go beyond the play of sense organs and the mind. Titiksha helps us to develop willpower. Unless we are strong willed, we cannot go beyond these dualities. We will always be affected by these and will flow just like the water is flowing in one direction. But to go against the current, you need a special effort. So our sadhana, our spiritual practice, our meditation also helps us to develop these qualities. So we discussed so far four treasures: shama, dama, uparama, and titiksha. Control over the mind, control over the senses, being established or following one's own duty, uparama, or in other words, to go beyond this play. And the fourth quality today we discussed as titiksha, the forbearance, tolerance, endurance, but without reaction. Without reaction, without complaint, without lamenting, accepting everything as gift of God. So this is the quality we need to develop. Always remain joyful because that is our nature. Remaining in sorrow, remaining in sadness is not our nature. That is not our dharma. Our dharma, our duty, our real nature, Satchidananda. I am pure consciousness. I am eternity. I am Ananda. I am joy. I am the bliss. So remain in your own nature. That is Uparama or Uparati. Let us try to practice this, and we will now meditate for some time. Please close your eyes. Wherever you are sitting, keep your spine straight. Please concentrate in between the eyebrows, the third eye, eye of wisdom. The world remains as it is. We cannot change anything outside, but we can bring transformation in our nature, in our perception. With closed eyes, feel the place around you. Gently bring awareness to your own body. Feel completely relaxed. Let us go within. In the spine, there are 7 chakras. Inside the spine, there are 3 pranic channels, Ida, Pingala, and the central channel is Sushumna, the subtle path. Let us introvert the mind and senses by observing our breath. Remaining in the third eye, just watch how the breath is coming in, going out. From the nostrils up to the lungs, the gross or physical breath. Let us take the attention from physical breath to subtle breath, which is simultaneously moving from top of the head to bottom of the spine. Watch the subtle movement of breath from top to bottom, bottom to top. Very gently, you're just a witness. You will feel more relaxed, more calm. This is breath awareness. Now we will practice deep breathing technique. Practicing slow, long, deep breath as per our capacity. Watching the breath simultaneously from bottom to top. When we inhale, let us feel love within. When we exhale, let us feel peace around and within. With each breath, let us practice. Please inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, peace. Exhale, love. Inhale, peace. Exhale, love. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Inhale, love. Exhale, peace. Normal conscious breath. Body is completely still, relaxed. Mind is tranquil, and the breath becomes very slow, feeble. Inside the cranium, experiencing silence, calmness. Meditate. Try to go beyond thought, beyond body consciousness. extreme calmness, blissful state of joy and peace. Chidananda Rupah Shivoham Shivoham. Let this peace be maintained in all our actions, day and night. Let us manifest unselfish love and peace in this entire creation, within our families and everywhere. May the blessings of God and the Masters be upon us all. Let us take a resolve. We will not react to what people say, what people do. We will tolerate it because it will change. We will forbear, will endure whatever circumstances are, will not complain, will not criticize others. Praying for all. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all become happy and healthy, loving, noble, and kind. Let there be no sorrow or suffering. Let there be more love, peace, harmony among us and the entire creation. Oh, Amen. Thank you all. I bow to God within you all. So meditate nicely. Practice these spiritual qualities. I'll see you on next Thursday. There's one question. Is it not stated in Sukha Rahasya Upanishad in watching the breath? Yes, watching the breath is mentioned in many scriptures. And this Sukha Rahasya Upanishad, I'll check the exact verse and I'll let you know. But there are many Upanishads or scriptures where watching the breath is mentioned. This is one of the technique also which gave enlightenment to Lord Buddha. So thank you all for your participation. See you next week. Till then, meditate, pray, do good, be good. Thank you all.